Does university turn people into idiots? Is Berkeley, California full of hippies and men who smell like their own urine? I don't know about you, but I just had to find out for myself. I'd recently been reading Arguing with Idiots by Glenn Beck, and I realized that I'd heard most of the idiot arguments before. In college. See, college is a haven for liberals. So much so that simply saying the name UC Berkeley immediately incites a mental image. Dude, my professor totally opened my eyes. I'm like, totally enlightened now, bruh. And with the stats showing just how left-leaning the halls of higher learning really are, how could you come out any other way? I mean, is it any surprise that an establishment which relies on a constant stream of federal funding would be incentivized to promote liberal or socialist ideology? Whoa, you say socialist like it's a bad thing. See, that's the problem, is that we've made socialism a dirty word in America, bruh. But how much are people really learning at these expensive universities? I mean, UC Berkeley students are attending the #1 ranked public university in the country. So do they know more than the average bear? Okay, what? They can't all be gems. They can't all be gems. This is Stephen Crowder at the University of California at Berkeley, and we want to see what one of the nation's top schools is teaching their kids about America. So will we find any idiots here? We'll let you know. I've got my Berkeley garb and my Berkeley beard, or what I can grow. I think we're good to go. Do I look like Kurt Cobain, Jared?
No, not at all.
Who is your favorite United States president and why?
My favorite United States president? How many questions are there, by the way?
I mean, I guess that's kind of a cliched answer, but I'll say Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln? I'm gonna go ahead and say Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln was easily the most popular. Naming the party of the old dude with the beard and hat, a little more daunting. And to what party did Abraham Lincoln belong?
Whig.
I'll say, yeah, I'm not sure.
Back then I believe he was a Republican, but that was nominally a Republican.
Well, she's basically right. It was a subjective question, so we decided to ask a more straightforward one. What do you think caused the Great Depression?
Oh, that's an interesting,
What caused the Great Depression? Wow.
The Great Depression?
Yes.
The first one?
I don't know, I guess like the stock market crashed.
Great Depression. I'm trying to remember.
And, yep.
Black Monday or Tuesday?
Black Friday, right?
Well, no.
It was a black day.
Yeah.
So nobody answered correctly with the Federal Reserve. But we thought we'd let them take a stab as to how it was fixed.
FDR and his group, what is it? He did like
Public Works?
Yeah, there we go.
Administration or something like that?
Wasn't it FDR?
Borrowing money from other countries?
You don't think the war effort fixed the Great Depression?
I don't think war fixes anything.
Geez, you can't even give these folks the right answer. In all fairness, that stuff happened a long time ago. Let's try something a little more current. Some people think that the Assault Weapons Ban Act is a good thing because it bans machine guns here in the streets. What do you think?
I don't like machine guns. I'm really against people using guns and being able to own guns.
Yes, most definitely.
Nobody wants semi-automatic, machine guns on the street.
Yeah, guns.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of how well it works, like, I'm sure there's, like, Russian mafia and some Chinese triads or something that has machine guns, but whatever. Like, in terms of people having machine guns, yeah.
The Second Amendment was written in a very different time, socially. It was a time when people lived mostly rural lives, and it was also a time after a huge rebellion against an unjust government. And so people were...
When you say unjust, what do you mean by that?
I mean, at the time, I use quotation marks because obviously it's up to interpretation, but I say, yeah, there was some pressures put on American people that maybe were unjustified, but I also think that those revolutionary people in American history were maybe blowing those issues up a little more.
It's looking more and more like university is not only incapable of protecting you from idiocy, but it may actually encourage it. But how could you expect them to know anything when students oftentimes have an attitude like this?
One of my questions was like, how important that we know those statistics? Yeah. You know, because I kind of skipped over. I felt like she was trying to prove it to someone. You know, and I believe you. I don't need you to do this statistics.
This is how much we're getting out of it. It's like just show me a picture. Right.
Yeah. You're like, why are you beating over the head with all this stuff? But
Right, because facts and statistics, that's not why you go to college. You go for things like keggers or revisionist history.
They were located near rivers or coasts. That made them very vulnerable then to the Europeans because they would have easy access to those areas. So many of the West Africans, given this proximity to sedentary lifestyle, were vulnerable to capture and enslave them and take them across what was known to the New World, where they would become slaves.
Now see, she makes it sound like Americans started slavery by capturing folks, as opposed to a large portion of them being sold from African slave traders themselves. But I'm sure she can answer to that.
Yes, sorry, I just have one question. How many of these, slaves that were brought over were already slaves in Africa?
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that.
But isn't that your job? See, you have to understand that in universities, the demonization of the United States is practically part of the curriculum. It just so happens that in Berkeley, they start even younger than most. Now, how does one become such an idiot? Well, here in Berkeley, the indoctrination starts young. As you can see, we're right outside of a famous mural in front of a private grade school. $17,000 a year so your son can write that capitalism will fail. And the problem is, little guy, that if you don't have enough capital, you won't be able to buy your weed. It's exasperating, I know. Well, how about the student organizations? They've got to be a better example of the upstanding student body, right?
We're trying to help organize right now against the budget cuts.
There's a lot of stuff about the bailouts.
I was just listening to the radio this morning. It said 19 trillion has been total used for the bailout so far.
So you would support like budget cuts as far as bailout?
Yeah, that's right. Budget cuts for bailout. Are you interested in like revolutionary politics?
Yeah, I'm a big Che Guevara fan. Okay, people that try and say, oh, Che killed all these people. It's like, yeah, but you have to understand the historical context. Why did he kill, thousands of people? It wasn't for no reason. It's not like he just did it to...
How many people did the military dictatorships kill?
And Cuba now, despite what we see on TV, it's a lot better off for it. So... So nothing but nets? So but nothing else but nets. You guys don't do anything like this. What about DDT? The thing is with a net is if you're outside of your bed for these 6 hours a day that you're not sleeping, you're screwed. Thank you. Yes, it is. He did. He's a war criminal. Just in case there were any doubt as to whether liberals would politicize the death of Ted Kennedy. Hi.
My house is
What are you doing for Ted Kennedy?
It's on
Yeah, that was tragic what happened to Ted.
But those new developments above the
Same thing with Mary Jo Kopechne.
My brother goes to high school. Exactly. It's really just
Do you know if Mary Jo Kopechne is supporting this?
Actually, I do not. Gardner. Yeah, for sure.
No, I just want to sign this in memory of Ted. Do you know if Mary Jo Kopechne is supporting this?
I don't know. I know who would know, but he's not sure.
I think she is, though.
Do you know if Mary Jo Kopechne is supporting this?
But you think? I think she is. Mary Jo Kopechne is supporting the healthcare bill. She was a big Ted Kennedy fan. Well, thank you.
It's looking more and more like university is not only incapable of protecting you from idiocy, but it may actually encourage it. But amidst all of this, there was one fine example, one glimmer of hope.
Who is your favorite president and why?
Thomas Jefferson.
Finally, a couple of smart dames.
Benjamin Franklin. because he's the one that had the book, right?
Yes, America. Benjamin Franklin was our finest president. The one with the book. Yeah, I read that book, bro. It was awesome. It was totally awesome.